snow or rain or anything could stop us from getting here. Is that right?
That's right. That's
But-
right.
I'm glad you're here. And for those people who are with us in the audience, in the community, we welcome you and we feel you. So we hope that you will join us in this conversation this morning, which is really, this is the second series of three conversations. And the first three, we had really good feedback. And so we thought we would take this second, do a little bit of recap of the first one, but also take this time to introduce people because guess what? We don't have the same people every session. And so by the end of the time that we do we probably are going to do a third one. By the time we do the third session of three, we will have spoken with about over 20 people, about 21 or 22 people. So what we want to do then is to bring everyone together and have a breakfast that would also celebrate the fact that we have gotten up this early to have this conversation and to keep it going. Keep it going somehow, we should say. So I'm Atuma Zakir. For those of you in the community audience who do not know me, I am really grateful for several things this morning, which I know each of the sisters with me will have some reason for gratitude because as you can see, if you can see us in the audience, as you can see, people got up and got on their best color and best smile. So I know they have some great things to say. Miss Pam, you too. So what I want to do is say, I'm grateful this morning for this kind of power that comes with sunshine. And the sunrise this morning was really amazing. If you didn't get a chance to see it, it was so beautiful. And calling for this conversation about the sun rising. This was the SUN sun that was so beautiful. And then I got a call from one of my sons, Nevin. And I was really happy to hear him. And so I said, "Good morning." And he was like, "I knew that if I call you, I was going to hear all this happiness." So I said, "Yes." So I wanted to say I'm grateful for the sun to be rising, for the spirit to rise in me, to get me up in the morning and to give me this work to do. So I welcome you and I'm very happy to see you both in the audience and sitting here in this circle with me. So good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, sister.
What's up, Elder? I'm Sister Peace. I am the mother of three beautiful young men, 27, 21, and 18. So happy to be in this circle with you all this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Hotep, happy new day. I'm Jayanthi Rajasa, and I have two young men and two young ladies, 15, 14, and 11, and 4. Glad to be here.
Yes.
Hotep. So, as the sister spoke about their babies, I thought my thing is usually I am the proud mother of 4 sons, but I have 3 additions in these last 4 years. I've adopted 3 of my grandchildren, so I haven't done the math, but yes.
Right. And you are who?
My name is Sister Lucretia.
I'm Elder Pam, and I have 2 sons, one 42, and the other one is 49. Hotep.
Good morning. My name is Opal, the mixologist, and I am the mother of 4 children. I have a blended family. There's 3 sons and a daughter. We will not give their ages because then that would date me. So.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Roberta, and I am not going to tell my son's age because I tell it too much, and they go, "Mom, that's not necessary." But anyway, I have 2 sons and 1 daughter.
So as I go back around the room, let's start with you, Miss Roberta. Your sons and their ages. So they're listening.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
So what we say is no longer secret. And are you making some things public that they said, did you really have to say that?
I said, you're doing enough talking about us as if people are going to expect us to live up to that standard. And I said, they do because I do.
That's right. And Sister Opal, you said you are the Opal mixologist.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me mixologist.
So the mixologist is a person who curates these beautiful scents. I've been doing this for over 30 years, and we have a little store, and Sister Roberta and her family love my scents. So they're perfume body oils, and they mix with your natural body chemistry.
I'm wearing one now.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Thank you. Miss Pam, your sons' ages. You told the 2 sons' ages. Do you have grandsons?
I do. You
Yes.
want to know their age?
I just want to know, do you have grandsons and how many? And
So I have 7 grandsons.
that's why I wanted you to tell how many. 'Cause I thought I knew you had quite a few grandsons.
7.
Yes.
Baseball team plus.
That's good.
That's a blessing.
And 6 granddaughters.
That's right.
Wow. Rich.
Sister Letitia, you had 4 and now you have 7.
Yes.
So 4 plus 3 is.
Yeah, 7.
But you have 7, so you adopted your 3 grandsons.
No, 3 grandchildren, 2 girls and 1 boy.
Okay. That is to be applauded.
Yes.
In the old days, this, I don't know if you call it adopting. You said adopting, but it happened so often in our history as mothers and grandmothers and aunts and people that we brought our children together under whatever circumstances.
Yes.
So how is that going for you?
It's going.
They are precious.
Yeah.
Teacher,
So
you
I
have
have altogether I have 6 grandchildren. 2 girls and 4 boys.
Mm-hmm.
And I see how and why my folk kept a house full of kids because they keep you going. They keep you going.
And they keep you young, don't they?
They do, in all types of ways. Yeah, they most definitely keep you going.
Sister Diantha, you have 15 and, did you say 15 and?
15, 14, 11, and 4.
So the range, 15 down to 4.
Mhm.
That is kind of a range. So you have the teenager who is not just a new teen, and then the 4-year-old who is coming out of the 2-year age stage, because it takes 2 years to get an energy that kind of settles down after 2, the 2s where. So how is that for you? Is the 14-year-old a male?
Yeah, the first 2 are both males.
Yes, and then the youngest is this. It's the beautiful spirit that we see moving through all the time. We were kind of thinking that she might come with you this morning.
Wow. She likes to sleep in. She's
Okay.
not, she's not like a lot of other children, and she likes to sleep in. She would probably sleep till noon or so if we let her.
Mhm.
Oh.
She sleeps.
Okay.
But she likes to stay up at night too. She likes to go to the things with us, and sometimes I'll be like, I don't know if this was a good decision keeping you out this late. She'll be like, I loved talking with every single person. And I'm like, did you say every single? She has
And she
such a
probably did talk
vocabulary.
to.
And she really does, yeah. My Liberian uncle the other day, he said, he looked out the door after me and I hadn't brought her with me and he said, where's the talkative one?
So that's why I asked, because I know, yeah, I've seen her so many times, but I don't know if I realized that the 14-year-old was 14.
Mhm.
But that's quite a.
But because of my work, I get to have a lot more children than that. And including her grandson, I get to see every Tuesday over on the north side with the babies and toddlers and preschoolers, and do music with a lot of children all over the Twin Cities and greater Minnesota. So.
Yeah. Well, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
Well, welcome. And your sons.
Yeah, I'm a grandmother too. I have a grandson who will be 7 this year named Rome.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I wanna say thank you all once again for coming. And this topic today is Black mothers, sons rising. And we do talk about this idea of the SUN. So I'm gonna start with the SUN, son. As I indicated this morning, it was pretty amazing. But as you think about the SUN son, what are some of the I would say characteristics? What are some of the characteristics of the SUN son that you know is present in your SON son or sons? So what are some of the characteristics? Especially now that we have to focus on this, we don't talk so much about raising anymore. We don't talk about raising our children as much as we used to the term raising, as much as creating the space that they will rise up and not feel that they are being capped by anything. So what are the characteristics of the SUN son that we see in our SON sons? Especially as Black mothers, because we talk about Black mothers, there is something here that we bring, that we have been gifted with and for. This is not just for us. Whatever it is, it's for the greater community. What would you say about the SUN son?
I think about the brightness that, so I have 3 sons, one transitioned 3 years ago, and I have a grandson and 5 granddaughters. And so I think about the brightness of my youngest son, especially. He is an amazing man. He lights up the room wherever he goes. He's a very articulate person, but he has some mental disorders. And we haven't seen him in a long time. He's been a nomad, as he says, traveling around the United States.
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you hear from him?
So yes and no. We had to put out a missing persons report last year because typically we would hear from him every couple of months. Last year we hadn't heard from him for almost a year. And recently we just heard from him. As we pray, we ask God to always provide some glimmer of who he is. And so, or where he is, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
And, but his name is Jamal, and Jamal is this bright light that illuminates our household on a regular basis. And each one of us miss him. We talk about him regularly, down even to the grandchildren.
Mm-hmm.
We wish Uncle Molly was still here. And not to take anything from my other 2 or my other 3 with my grandson. My grandson was named Kamal, and his name is Quiet Warrior. And he also is a bright light in a different way. He's a quiet spirit.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a blessing. As all of them are. You're a mother of sons, so you know.
Yes.
But I don't want to leave my daughter out. She's a beautiful person. She's got a sweet spirit.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I'm thankful for those children.
Yeah, and last time we had to remind ourselves that this is not therapy, but it will feel like it. It'll feel like therapy in public, and I think you just reminded me again of what we what we what we're working with as we grow as mamas, as mothers, as grandmamas, and what we're working with is this what we carry around, the story that goes with being who we are and how we are, and then our children really giving us a lot to think about, giving us a lot to do.
Yes.
Not to do in a negative way, but to do as in our relationship. As you said, we pray each day that his spirit will know that you're thinking of, and telling the story. That's really, really, really powerful. So thank you so much for reminding us this is not therapy, but it will feel like it. Anybody else? Yes.
You know, what you just said made me think about, you said how our children remind us, and I was thinking about activation. You know, my children can have a way of really activating my relationship to what I call God, the ancestors. They have a way of really activating that like nobody else. And also the son can do that too. It just can evoke this sense of gratitude for being able to see another day. Like my children can do the same thing. So,
Thank you. Yes.
thank you.
Yes. Activation.
When you ask the question, Elder, you make the distinction between SUN, son, and SON, son. And I tend to refer to mine as the same SUN, son, the children that I gave birth to, and also, you know, the gift that the Creator gave us, the son that rises and falls. And I just, I think about all of them and the chance that I've been given to mother them all, and how a different part of me that they've all received in mothering as I learn myself in mothering them, you know, and even down to Esau, because he was named after my other son, Esau, Eusah, and the coming son. But they his one is with an I and the other one is with an E. And it just you know, just makes me think about the different versions of me they've all experienced.
Yes.
You know.
Yes. Yes.
As a mother, because I feel like I get to try to correct some things with Esau, you know, a little bit more hugging, a little bit more kissing, and a little bit more patience in asking him to use your words, you know, so I can hear you, and
Yes.
trying to see what the holding the head down and making sure he holds it high and speaks so I can hear your words, and reminding him constantly that his presence is loud. You know, you have to say nothing, and they all hear you. You know, in my 19-year-old, I have to remind him that a lot, because his presence is so loud and so handsome and beautiful and opinionated. You know, so different from what I felt like I was as a child. So sure of himself. You know,
Yes.
and I remind him all the time. You don't have to say anything. They all hear you. So.
So this is the deeper level of therapy. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Wow. So I'm gonna listen again, because this is once again, you've brought up so much that I want us to kind of talk a little bit about this morning, a little bit more about. So thank you. Yes. The rising.
I'll go. I think of my sons that is so very much like me,
Mhm.
that rising, that need to go up, 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 and really praying for them, because it is good, but it's also bad too. It's also hard. Um, and that same characteristic is in my daughter as well. And I want to protect them from the hurts and the stripping that I went through as you rise up, 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 up. And so they remind me so much of the sun rising every day. And every day they have a plan to go up and up. And I want them to not embrace that European idea of what is success, what is value. And the very part that I didn't want them to get is the very part that they got.
From you.
From me. So I spent a lot of time praying for them and, shielding and protecting them. I have the great privilege of my son, my middle son, moving away from that ideology as he's been bought into the Cultural Wellness Center and see a whole different side of what success looks like
Mm-hmm.
and what value looks like.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Yes. So you're saying something that I think we will also come back to, which is this idea that what you see in your sons and your daughter really is parts of yourself,
Yes.
parts of what they have kind of gotten as they have watched you.
Yeah.
Yes, and as you have set a stage or set the tone
Standard.
for what the standards, for what is rising and how rising happens and where is the rising going. Yes. Thank you. Yes.
I'm sorry. She's coughing on me.
I can tell. And I'm so glad that you didn't feel like you had to get up and get a mask.
As I said, I have two sons, and the connection to me is that I know that the first thing I thought of was that I know that when the sun is out, I have energy.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that when I see my sons, I have energy.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel so blessed to be able to have just the two of my sons that, there was a time in life where I didn't know how things were going to go.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but that's what I feel. I feel energy from my sons.
Mm-hmm. From them?
From my sons, yes. As I feel energy from the sun that rises in the sky on a daily basis.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
Elder, I wanted to say one more thing. Just as the sun goes up, it comes down,
Mhm.
it descends. And that's the part that that you want to protect your children from, that descending. Because what goes up, people always say, has to come down. And I want them to have a humility, you know, and I don't want them to fall.
The thing about the sun rising and falling, I mean, Sister Letitia used the term too, the sun rising and the sun falling. And so we are saying that can happen or does happen with our SON sons also. Is that,
Yeah, it can happen.
yes.
It can happen very much so.
Okay. Anybody, yes.
Well, my firstborn, his name is Ravi, which in Sanskrit means the sun. His full first name is Ravi Chandran, which means the sun and the moon combined. And I think he might have been like 5 or so. And he said, "Can I grow my hair out?" And I said, "You want to grow your hair out?" And he said, "When I pretended it was in a ponytail, it made my cousin laugh. And I want to make her laugh." So he was so committed to bringing her joy that he wanted his hair to get longer. And he grew it so long into these, I had to braid 2 braids all the time. It was this long, long hair, you know. And, you know, he just has such a great sense of humor. He's now 15, and so it's developed his sense of humor. And the timing is perfect, but if you're on the wrong side of things, you can think the timing was absolutely the worst.
Not
But you know, there is a way that he will do like a joke that could you know offend you a little bit, but if you step back, it could cause you to like calm down and get the right perspective, you know. And like, yeah, I remember that when he was around 5 or so, he told me, "Could I use your hand for a second?"
Yes.
You know, sometimes when you're really stressed out as a parent, you know, you can do some things that you don't feel great about if you really break it down and slow it down in time. And he said, he stopped me one day and he said, don't hold my hand like this from the wrist. He said, just do it like this and I'll still listen. You know, and it was a little bit like I felt embarrassed a little, you know, but I was really so proud of him that he took the time to gently take me out of, you know, some of my own history and what, you know, what had been things that have been practiced on me that, you know, I just have picked up and, you know, could use some coaching. And so I love the way that children are often really amazing coaches for us, you know. And my second born son, you know, I just told this story the other day that you know, I think that we kind of tend to sleep later than a lot of people, and so I made it here today. No, I'm not gonna slip. But you know, I remember that one morning he had just learned how to like reach the doorknob, you know? And so one morning the neighbors came and they said, "We saw your little son, you know, this little toddler walking down the sidewalk," because we lived only 2 blocks from the playground. So he figured he could make it to the playground now, you know? And there was like, we were, you know, like, oh my God, you know, and all of the things, you know, the fear and the embarrassment mixed together. And then, but at the same time, it was like, we were like, you can't do that. You don't do it. Now I watch that he doesn't really wake up early in the morning anymore and have that spring in his step, you know? And maybe it's because he's 14 and his body is making a lot of different changes. I mean, he is taller than me now at 14, you know? And so I don't know, but I've been thinking about that, you know, just about how to try to continue to like nurture them and not take away from some of the gifts and fervor that they have
Yes,
for the world,
yes. Mhm.
even in our warnings. You know, sometimes holding back some of those warnings. That child, you know, he always tells me that he's part monkey. That's what he said since he was little. And there's nothing that he doesn't want to climb on, you know? And he could be way up tall in a tree and other parents are going, you know that your son's up there? And you're like, you're okay about that, you know? I'm like, he knows how to climb, you know? I don't want to take that away from him by putting my fear on him, you know, and starting to place these boundaries on him. And he was on the littlest, smallest piece of equipment at the playground, and he fell off, and he broke his arm, you know. And I said, now you get to go to that hospital you always send your brother to, you know. And you know, it was a beautiful thing to see that, you know, he didn't need to be up that high to have a fall. And it didn't take away, I'm glad that fall didn't take away from his desire to climb higher, you know.
Well, again, you said a lot, but the thing that stands out for me is the holding of the hand, is the wrist, holding the wrist, and what that might be. What is that statement versus holding my hand? And he knew, but didn't necessarily describe what the difference was. What did you understand as the difference?
He was trying to tell me that, you know, maybe somebody has felt like they needed to tell you in a rough way, and I want you to know that I don't need the rough way. I'll follow along if you are soft with me.
I think that's pretty powerful.
It represents shackling.
Does it? I was just gonna say, anybody else think of, what do you think of when you think about somebody holding on to your wrist? You think shackling.
My mom's oldest sister always said, never grab your children by the wrist. That was a shackling that was done to us, and it has this, you know, mental effect on you. So you should never, you know, do this to your.
Like I can remember, you know, come on,
Yeah.
you know, that kind of thing, and not come on. So there is something there.
Yeah. Well, we do remember though that there's this thing that children will do sometimes where they're like,
Exactly.
I'm not going anywhere.
And then
So sometimes it was like that was the option, but he
Yes.
was like, "That's not me. I'm gonna go if you ask me to."
Yeah.
You know.
That's
So-
great. Do you see or do you hear in each other the role that you play? This idea of the mama. And last time we were able to really once again talk about the kind of origin that you are representative of, where life comes from, where kind of this idea of the womb and the place where those ingredients and the creator and creation have really placed a certain set of ingredients. And have you given thought to that based on really what you see in your children, especially in your sons? And I want to, I think someone mentioned this, is that this is not about us talking about men and not women, or brothers and not sisters, or male and not female, but we're talking about the sun and the sons and the rising, because we really said something the last time, which is that there's an old statement that says we love our sons and raise our daughters. And it also is a time where we see so much, not only with Brother George Floyd's murder, but we see so much about particular athletes, basketball, football, other athletes who really have quite a phenomenal I think, influence on our young men's perceptions of themselves. And they always, when they're invited to speak, shout out to who? Mama.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
And Brother George Floyd, Mama. So I just want to say that this idea of the mama is coming from that kind of experience that we see happening. And I'm trying to both write about it and understand it in myself. And I thought other women would be feeling the same thing too. So that's the reason we're talking about it. But I want to see if you have thoughts about yourself, what you have brought to this son that you're describing. My oldest son, many of you know, is only 16 years younger than me. And so he was born, I turned 16 on August 9th, and he was born on August 10th. So the period that he was really, this developmental period that Sister Mary can tell us about, like first trimester and all those things that are developing. In that whole period, I was 15. The whole 9 months, period. So what I see in the significant personality traits that are most present in him, I think I have the female version of that. And I know I do. And so I listen for those things that he and I might clash on. Many of them are the things that we clash on. The reason we clash on them is because they come from the same source. And they're things that I either like a lot and get excited about it, or things that I'd love to see myself having changed, and that he didn't have to pick them up, and now he's the one that's going to have to resolve all of that. And when I say all of that, I mean certain energies and the pursuit of certain, Miss Roberta, you were right, the pursuit of this kind of rising, this place where we quote unquote belong. We have come here to rise up, to raise up, to bring up. I think we believe that we have come here to do something really highly important. And when I say we now, I'm saying myself and my sons. I really think we have a purpose and a calling that we're trying our best to fulfill. And yet there are blockages, and yet there are experiences, and yet there are things that have caused us to feel capped, which makes us want to fight more or climb higher whenever you feel so capped. And so when I have felt capped, and it has happened many, many times in my 8 decades of living, I have felt capped many, many times. And yet I have been determined with each understanding or each type of capping. I have become more and more determined to rise anyway. That the rising was not going to change, because as the sun rises and fall or rise and set, that rhythm is the rhythm that is in my genes. Mm-hmm. So I wonder, once again, if you can talk just a little bit about the origin, where you see the womb and all of those ingredients, how you think about them. Do you think about them as you think about your sun rising? Or as you think about any, kind of work or any experiences that you're having with your son or sons? I want to acknowledge, you said one of your sons is with the ancestors.
Yes.
And I have that experience. But again, my experience, I'm sure, is not just as yours. But that's an amazing time has been an amazing time of reflection for me. Mm-hmm. What did I do? What didn't I do? Mm-hmm. What could I have done? All of those ways of thinking about it.
Interesting that you would phrase it that way. So my former husband and I were talking yesterday, as a matter of fact, and I shared some things with him that I hadn't shared with anybody really about just the trajectory of how my children have grown and not grown. And it's especially my sons. You think about his name is Jelani. We're not gonna say was. His name is Jelani.
Yes,
And Jelani
yes.
means mighty. His middle name means protector, defender.
Mm.
And his middle name was Asim. Jelani was the smartest person in the room according to him. Right?
Yes, I know the experience.
And his eldest daughter, she at his service, she highlighted that. And he essentially was most of the time. Jelani was, and another thing that I hadn't shared is that because I have this blended family, my oldest son is my former husband's son. And when I married him, his son was 1.5 years old. And then we had the 2 boys. Jelani is my biological oldest child.
Mhm.
And because we have this blended family, and then Lakeisha, my sister, died, and so we brought her into the fold. But Jelani is my biological son, and it is difficult some days around the other children to express that because I don't want them to feel slighted,
Yes.
right? But yet, that's mine. And I had to share this with his dad that I feel like I can't be my whole authentic self as his mother because of these others. I love them all the same, but yet I had to love them as individuals. I had to learn that very early because I wanted to group them, but I had to learn that early. So now, as I've gotten older and I've evolved and I've done some work on myself, I realize that I have to speak my truth about my babies, in particular about my oldest child.
Your biological
My
child,
biological
who is
oldest
down
child.
with the ancestors.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
It's important for me if it's not important for anyone else, for me to be able to open up and finally say that. Because as you said, you carried your baby, your eldest, while you were 15 years old. I carried him, I think I was 20, 21, and I was still a child as well. And to have this person be
Yes.
birthed out of you, right?
Yes.
And everybody talked about how Opal just adored Jelani, because I didn't want children first and foremost, but then here comes Jelani. And Opal was just in love and in awe with Jelani to the point where Opal had to leave her mother's home because my mother was saying he ain't that precious. And I had to let her know. And no uncertain
Don't
terms.
mess with my babies.
Right. That's my baby.
That's
And
right.
he is precious, and I don't want all of these people you're trying to surround him around to be breathing in his face and
Yes.
other things, right?
Yes. Right.
So thank you for pulling that out because I needed to share that. And this is what I was sharing with James yesterday, that I need to express how much I care for my baby.
That's right.
And I miss him. I miss him, but I know, here's what I know, because God shared this with me through that time. You were there, Jonathan, that Jelani is okay. He's no longer sad. You know, he's where he's supposed to be. So I'm thankful for
And
that.
still protecting you.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah. And showing me so many different things. Yeah. Especially with his daughters. He has some amazing girls. He has 3 daughters. They are incredible women. Yeah.
Yes, please come in. Yes, please. Anybody?
Something that came out for me is I have a blended family. When I married my husband, he had already had 3 other children. And I was young, and in pursuit of my dreams, the things I wanted to do, and to become an instant mother of 3 children. And then to have my oldest. People feel like you can't love yours, any different than the way you love the other 3. But this person, as you talk about, this is from your womb, your DNA, your RNA, it is a part of you.
Yeah.
And there is something that can never be changed when it's yours, and you have to share these other children with another mother. You can't be full mother.
Mhm.
You have to, you have to respect the fact that this is their mother, even though they spent, half of the time with us and half of the time with her. And when me and my husband had our first child, many things started to change. A greater demand for child support, a greater demand, they're living this life, but I was a nurse, my income afforded us to live a different life than he lived with her. But so many things changed, and here you are, all bottled up. And you can't say some of the things that you want to say because it would cause a rift. And then he wouldn't get a chance to see his children, and then it would be my fault,
Sure.
So
So see, this is did you know this is the first of a 3 session?
yes.
And you also know that we did get started a little bit late. So what I want mostly to kind of, because we're at time, what I'd like just to take a few minutes on is listening now. Yeah, please go around and tell me one thing that we should start with next week when we're going to be on time, in time, and haven't had our breakfast and everything by the time we invite our audience to come in. What is the one thing that you take away from just this that is unfinished part of the discussion? The conversation shall go on. This particular conversation has to go on, and it will resume next week. What do you take?
I'm going to say we need to talk more about the ingredients of the womb.
Okay, that comes with all that.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. Yes. Ingredients of the womb. Mhm.
So much is bubbling. I just want to say when I lost my father, I felt like our whole world fell apart. And so I think that what we need to talk about is how men, the male species, is important to the human race. That's right.
Y'all got that?
Yeah.
All right. Yes.
I think that we should talk about the love for our sons and where it comes from and how did we get there?
Yes. Thank you.
And I concur.
Yes.
So what comes up for me is the love we have for our sons, how it plays out for them, what we've passed on to them. You know, as mothers of sons, what have we given our sons that we're proud of, and the things that we're not proud of? Because as the elders talk, it tickles me so, because it just makes me think of my 19-year-old and how he would always say, I don't like it when you mother others. You know, it doesn't matter who the other is, he doesn't like it. And he's made it a habit throughout his life to remind me of it, because I also have bonus babies, you know, but even with the ones that I gave birth to, he let me know, I don't like it when you mother others, but
Wow.
okay.
That's interesting. Yeah, wow.
Maybe to talk about how we deal with sunscreen, sunblock, sunshade, you know. How do we deal with that and how it comes from the world, you know, how people, you know, are afraid of the sun, you know, how they, you know, want to claim sunburn. You know what I'm saying? Like all the the ways that we have to kind of navigate showing up and clearing their names sometimes, or making sure that they're not, you know, being kind of thrown under the bus and things like that. Blamed for things that, you know what I mean, where you kind of have to witness that, wow, what if I didn't come here? What if I didn't have the time to come clear their name like this and things like that? It's like just trying to kind of release some of that, or learn how to navigate that best, or learn from other people and how they've navigated it.
Sister Letitia is affected by, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, Sister Letitia.
Yes.
Yes, please. If you'd like to put some words to that, go ahead.
She's so right. We often have to show up. We got to show up for them. You know, sometimes you have to, I say you gotta love your sons through some stuff.
Some stuff.
Yes.
Then you have to show up for them when no one else is. You have to rise for your sons sometimes.
That's right.
I'm gonna tell you.
Yeah.
I also love sunscreens and sunblocks as a metaphor for what happens.
Yeah.
Just, it's so powerful because of the sun. And you have to have in many cases, many people have to have sunscreen, sunblock. But we have this kind of melanin kind of thing. I just am beginning to understand the power of that as sunscreen and sunblock. Do you see what I'm saying? It's so powerful. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, very powerful.
That was.
Very deep. It's a great takeaway. So we can wait. We don't need to say nothing else, right? Don't need to say nothing else. Except one of the things that we will start with is next time we will start with what we have looked at as the Institute of Human Origins is one of the preeminent research organizations in the world, and it's devoted to the science of human origins. And they are celebrating this 50th year since Lucy, the oldest skeletal of human skeletal has been found by the scientists. And so we were going to do that today, but we will do it next time. It fits right into this. So some of these questions about the depth of our love, some of these questions about, you know, just this real powerful thing about where it all comes from, and how the father that we each had, my father made me actually the woman that I am. So my question becomes, do I have the capacity to make my sons the man that he was? Do you see what I mean? Do I have that capacity, considering all the other blockages and so forth? So yes, your tears are important, and we have to end. Last word.
Hotep.
Okay.
Hotep.
And that is, we want to say by Hotep, what we mean is peace. Be at peace, rest
Yes.
and be free.
Yes.
So have a great morning. You in the audience, please know we appreciate you, we feel you, and we want you to join us again next week. Hotep, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you.